Police train themselves to expect the unexpected, but every so often they arrive at a scene and find something no protocol prepared them for. Ordinary places, a suburban kitchen, a quiet lake, a freight rail car, can suddenly become the setting for discoveries that rattle communities and leave investigators with more questions than answers. What follows are 6 chilling finds that officers truly did not see coming. If you love deep-dive true crime recounts, subscribe for more. 6. It began as a routine welfare check in a quiet Texas neighborhood, the kind of call officers take without expecting anything extraordinary. Neighbors had grown worried after hearing a loud stereo for hours and spotting a woman behaving oddly around her home. When police arrived, they were met with the smell of smoke and the sight of a stove that had been left on. Inside an oven, they found a 2-year-old child suffering severe burns. The child was rushed to the hospital with 2nd and 3rd-degree burns. Medical teams fought to stabilize them and treat the injuries. The child was later placed in foster care. The mother, identified in reports as Tasha Chantel Hatcher, told investigators she had willfully placed the toddler in the oven. Authorities charged her with serious bodily injury and set bond at $300,000. The precise motive and full circumstances behind what happened that day remain indefinido, and the case engraved a lasting shock into a neighborhood that had expected only the ordinary from its streets. Officers who responded described a mix of disbelief and grim resolution, a household appliance transformed into an instrument of harm, a reminder that danger can lurk where most people feel safest. The child's long recovery and the legal process would unfold slowly. For the community, the image of that oven would not fade. 5. Some discoveries are decades in the making. In Wisconsin, what started as a training dive turned into the resolution of 2 missing persons cases that had haunted families for more than 45 years. Divers practicing in a cold, dark lake found a car resting on its side beneath the surface. Inside were human remains, 3 individuals in one vehicle. A short time later, search teams located another submerged car nearby, this one also containing 3 bodies. The cars were linked to disappearances from 1969 and 1970. Names tied to the first vehicle included Jimmy Williams, Lee Johnson, and Michael Rios. The second car was later connected to John Alva Porter, Nora Duncan, and Kleber Hammock. For families, the discovery answered the long-burning question of what happened to loved ones who vanished half a century earlier. For investigators, it raised new ones. How had these cars come to rest at the bottom of Foss Lake? Who was responsible for what investigators call suspicious circumstances? Police have described foul play as likely, but the full details of motive and culpability are indefinido. Cold water complicates evidence and memory alike. Decades underwater erode not only materials, but the trail of choices and actions that led to the submersion. The diver's accidental stumble on the first car, training exercises turning into a full-scale investigation, underlined how a chance moment can rewrite a long unsolved mystery. Families received answers they had waited for, but official closure remained incomplete. 4. At first glance, the contents of a freight car looked like unremarkable sacks of sawdust. Railway workers and officers often see mundane cargo. This time, nothing about the shipment suggested anything illicit. But when customs and wildlife authorities inspected 37 unmarked sacks, they discovered an entirely different reality. Inside were hundreds of severed animal parts, paws and muzzles, gall bladders and other organs, along with glands from musk deer and other items associated with illegal wildlife trafficking. The material appeared destined for markets where traditional medicines use animal parts as ingredients, and investigators linked the find to organized poaching and trafficking networks operating across borders. The discovery exposed the scale and audacity of a trade that strips animal populations and conceals its spoils in plain sight on standard freight lines. Authorities confiscated the parts and began tracing the logistics. Where had the animals been killed? Who packed the cargo? And which markets were meant to receive it? This seizure illuminated a broader problem. Wildlife crime often moves through ordinary transport systems, relying on the invisibility that comes with routine. The individuals behind the shipments and the full supply chain remained under investigation, and the international links in the trade complicated swift resolution. What began as a routine check of rail cargo ultimately revealed a cold, organized cruelty operating between forests and markets. 3. A Halloween prank call turned into a sobering discovery in a leafy suburb. Neighbors reported what they believed to be a yard display gone too far, an apparent dead body dangling from a backyard tree as part of holiday decorations. Officers responded expecting a fake prop and a chuckle. Instead, they found 2 decomposed bodies suspended where the community had assumed harmless theatrics. Witnesses later recalled seeing 2 suspicious men near the property at an earlier hour, but whether those men were involved, witnesses' identities, or any motive was not immediately clear. For police, the scene combined the surreal with the dreadful. What had been meant as a neighborhood spectacle revealed itself as an actual scene of death. Because the remains were in an advanced state of decomposition, identifying the victims and reconstructing timelines presented immediate forensic challenges. Investigators labeled several elements indefinido while they pursued leads. That neighbors mistook the bodies for decorations underscored a chilling point about human perception. The ordinary can obscure the horrific until someone looks closely enough. The case left a community shaken, reminding residents that assumptions, even during a season for costumes, can be dangerously wrong. 2. Not every discovery comes with police dispatch records or news releases. Some surface through the stories officers tell online. Accounts that are anecdotal and, in at least one instance, later taken down. An oft-cited post from a law enforcement officer described responding to a call from an elderly homeowner who reported a bulging air vent and an unusual odor. On prying loose the vent cover, officers found a man lodged inside the ductwork, alive at the moment of discovery and clutching a knife. The account claimed the entry point explained how he had gotten into the venting system and that the man later died, possibly from dehydration or heat-related causes, though the exact cause of death was reported as indefinido. Importantly, the original post that detailed the scene was deleted, and it remains an anecdote that cannot be fully verified through public records. When using such accounts, investigators and reporters must treat them as provisional, relying on official confirmations when available. Even if the finer points of this particular story remain uncertain, the image endures. An intruder hiding within the mechanical hollow of a home, discovered when a homeowner noticed something amiss. It serves as a reminder that the built environment offers unexpected places for people to conceal themselves, and that sometimes the discovery comes from a homeowner's small decision to check a vent. 1. In one of the most unsettling cases, a woman reported being drugged and held against her will by a medical professional in his own home. According to her account, she had been offered fruit that was laced with a sedative. When she recovered, she found herself in an underground space constructed beneath the physician's property. She escaped or was returned home under circumstances that led her to immediately contact law enforcement, at which point police followed her report back to the doctor's residence. Inside, they discovered a subterranean bunker outfitted with restraints, masks, and other items that suggested prolonged confinement and control. The person arrested was a Swedish doctor, whose professional status made the allegations all the more shocking to the community and to the international media that followed. Investigators charged him and took him into custody. Beyond that, official records list sentencing and some outcomes as indefinido, pending legal processes and formal adjudication. Because this case involved sexual violence and sustained captivity, reporting and recounting it demands restraint. The focus is on the facts that led police to the underground space, a victim's clear report, her willingness to come forward, and a discovery that confirmed elements of her account. For the public, the case highlighted how trust in a caregiver can be weaponized and how persistence and disclosure by a survivor can prompt police action and uncover hidden crimes. Reflection. What ties these 6 discoveries together is not a single motive or method, but the way the ordinary masks the extraordinary. Appliances, holiday decorations, freight sacks, ventilation shafts, lakes, and even a physician's home, each became the site of a revelation that shattered expectations. For investigators, every scene required adapting standard procedures to circumstances that were anything but standard. For families and communities, each find reopened grief and demanded answers that in several cases are still being pursued. Police work involves routine, training, and protocol, but it also demands a readiness for surprises that test both skill and nerve. Some of these cases ended with arrests and identifications. Others remain open, their full stories indefinido. In every instance, the human toll was real. Victims, bereaved families, and neighbors left to reconcile their everyday lives with the knowledge of what had been hidden among them. If this unsettled you, subscribe for more deep dives into cases where the unexpected changed everything, and consider watching our next video exploring unsolved mysteries and the investigators who keep searching for answers.